billion, more than 3 times the amount Ghana received from the IMF as a bailout. And cannabis now legal, but not for recreational purposes. We speak to those who advocated for its passage. More come up here on the show. We'll delve into details of all of those issues here on For You, on Pulse, on the Journey. Shout out. My name is Samuel Kojo Braze. On behalf of the team, we're grateful for joining us this afternoon. Stay with us.
Real Estate Edition, proudly sponsored by Buena Vista Homes. Your idea of a perfect home just got settled. You can have this, that, or even that. But that's not all. This is an environment that is dotted with the most carefully crafted homes, well-demarcated spaces, and everything that makes you feel comfortable. In this season of the Real Estate Show, the Buena Vista Homes Real Estate Show, everything you need in a home will be discussed. Peace, comfort, security, and every other thing real estate related. Don't miss this edition of the Buena Vista Homes Real Estate Show with me, Efia Petua.
Ghana has been booted from its position as the second most peaceful country in the sub-Saharan Africa on the 2023 Global Peace Index. It is now in 4th place and 51st in the world. The nation is among in Africa on the 2023 Global Peace Index. It is now in 4th place and 51st in the world. The nation is among...
And you are able to maximize a lot of deals and a lot of options. So I think it is the way you look at it. The conflict does not necessarily mean that business has ended. The stream of commerce continue even if people are being shot at gunpoint. So I think it is up to the businesses, their commitment to the place and what exactly they want to get out of the place. But it is up to us as a country to market our potential, because we will not always have this situation. Things will normalize. Ghana will survive this, and Ghana will be great again. So let us market it well. It's not all that bad.
So your point is that it's not a source of concern as it is now?
It should be a concern, Kojo, but it shouldn't be so overwhelming concern that we don't know our way out. We can maneuver our way out of this. You know, but it's all a matter of positioning us.
But I mean, with your understanding of the security architecture of the country, what could have probably led us to this point where we are not the most peaceful country, sub-Saharan Africa?
It is very interesting, the variables that went into that determination, because we are not at war with ourselves. We are not being attacked by terrorists. Most people in Ghana feel very peaceful and they feel very safe. So what is the relative degree of uncertainty about safety in this country or about security that made them designate us in that position? I believe that we need to interrogate the variables that went into it so that we can handle or attack each one of them properly. But as it is all abstract. We don't know what the considerations were for them to come to that conclusion. So I think for now, we should take it as it is for what it is, and then find a way to maneuver our way out of it, because in Africa, we continue to be a very peaceful country, even despite what the experts or the researchers are saying, because it's only a temporary situation.
Well, we understand the attacks on journalists were used, also contributed to our slippage. So they feel that journalists were not safe to do their work in the country any longer, and that's why we are slipping. So some of these, attacks on people, journalists, businessmen, the sort of little conflict that we do hear about is why we are slipping, So it's something that is coming from within. We are doing this to ourselves.
Which is very interesting, because it shouldn't be like that. But, there is not a perfect world anywhere. Because even in America, they have similar situations, despite their arsenal of weapons and military and police presence everywhere. However, because of the situation that we find ourselves, the economic situation that we find ourselves, I think central government can do a bit better than it is doing in terms of maintaining regional conflicts, Boko conflict, northern region, the Upper East region conflict, Western North region conflict. I think all of these conflicts, the isolated conflicts that we have around, can be handled better. In addition to that, attacking journalists is not cool. Because what have they done? They are only reporting the news as you have created it. So if I'm just narrating what you have done, why do you attack me? So these are some of the things that the police administration, the military organization in Ghana should take cognizance of and try to correct it. Because these little things they do, they are very big in the world opinion, and that they have to control themselves and manage the affairs of this country on individual basis, even before it comes to the collective level.
Let me bring in Reverend Dr. Edudje Fidan. He is chairman of the National Peace Council. Reverend, earlier I was speaking your reaction to this news, but the line wasn't helping us. For you, as a chairman of the Peace Council, how are you receiving this news that we are no longer the most peaceful country in sub-Saharan Africa?
For us as a council, it's not a sense of our work.
Okay. I think we're having technical challenges with Reverend's line, but we'll still have Dr. Ishmael Norman. He is a security analyst with us here. Doc, so, in moving forward, if we have to take it sector by sector, earlier you said that we have to sell this country. Well, we've also heard that attacks on journalists contributed to it. You're saying that the security agencies have to up their game. What must central government do now that this ranking is coming up to ensure that we reclaim our position as the most peaceful country?
The concerns of the foreign ministry and regional organizations should be. I believe that the central government can begin the propaganda machinery about repositioning of Ghana in the international marketplace, making sure that we are still respected as a peaceful nation, because in reality we are very peaceful. But these anomalies, attacking journalists, Boko, nobody seems to be handling the Boko conflict and other conflicts around the country. And I think central government should pay a bit more attention. Interior Ministry, that is your remit. Do the right thing so that at least all these anomalies can be corrected and solutions can be found so that we don't have this kind of designation that affects almost everything that we do in this country. Investment is very, very critical to our survival.
Okay. Stay with me. Reverend Dr. Edu Gyamfi is back on the line. Let's try the line now to see how it's working out. Reverend, welcome again. So I was still trying to get your thought on how the council is receiving this news.
Well, as I said earlier on, the council is not too happy about this because it looks like the country that has beaten us, which is Sierra Leone, in terms of the structures that we have here, we should have been above them. But the reality is what the other panelists said earlier on, that some of these things are things that we've done to ourselves. I think that sometimes we hype certain things beyond proportion. And these things have contributed to these things. For instance, during our election period, we make too much noise as if the country is almost burning, as if all of us are going to die. All those things are hyping, create a situation that makes the country feel like we are unsafe. Then we have also situations where civilians are turning down themselves on the security services. We've seen the case of the Boko incident where the immigration officer was shot. Then we've also seen recently a policeman shot by armed robbers. So when the attack goes on the security services, it is given an impression as if our security services are no longer in control of the country. But these are things that civilians are doing to our security services, which ought to be looked at. And I think that we all have to put ourselves online and defend the security services to provide the needed services that the country needs.
Well, they consider several things: violence, the attack on journalists, and what have you. These are things that we are not doing enough in the country, isn't it? How must we, approach these issues now going forward?
I think that from our perspective as a council, there must continually be a public education. We've just ended a dialogue between the political parties and the police service. We did one earlier on with the whole security services in February. We've done a follow-up the last 2 days. Now, we keep reviewing all these things that we see in the country and keep on educating ourselves and bringing ourselves on the same place so that everybody understands where we are, what we ought to do, and how we have to handle the country to make the country as peaceful as it ought to be.
Well, but if you look at the report in general, there's a global deterioration in peace. So it means that peace in itself globally is retrogression. Now, we as a country, we are interested in ensuring that we deepen our peace. You said that you've met the political parties and the police. But is that all? Does it only rest with those people?
No. For the last few months, we've done a lot of work. We've worked with over 400 people within various communities. We've had meetings with Queen Mothers. We've had meetings with fisher folks in Ada and in Elmina. We've had training for student leaders to help them to understand that all these things that we do in the schools create problems for the country. Currently, we are working in secondary schools, and then we are also tackling the security services and the political parties. So there's a lot of work going on underground, trying to mitigate some of these challenges that we do have. But I think that whilst we're doing all of these things, the public must be educated to understand that sometimes some of the things that we write on social media, especially on social media, because it's very difficult to control social media now, and all those things being put out gives a certain perception about the country. Sometimes when you travel outside, for us who are also ministers who preach in churches, when we travel outside, our citizens outside feel from the news they read as if the country is almost burning. So we go back and tell them that, look, what you are hearing is not true. So there's a certain perception out there because people are writing all kinds of things on social media. So these perceptions are also received by these evaluators who are outside the country, because they are also reading from the internet and getting news from all those places. So we have to be very careful to educate our public. Let's look at the interests of our country. Sometimes we do some of these things for personal gain, for political gain, and all of those things. But at the end of the day, we are looking at, for instance, the economic benefits of those reforms. Some people looking at this will realize that Ghana is not becoming too safe. Do I take my investment there? And then we are also talking about jobs for our people. So these people are not coming in to invest. It affects us. If somebody wants to put something into this country, they are beginning to ask themselves, is the country safe now? Can I go there? So there are economic benefits when we are reaching it higher. And these are things that all of us must understand, that it's necessary as a people to project a right image about our country to the outside world.
But these are people putting their realities on social media. It's not like these are not issues that are happening that they put there. Isn't that the case?
I think that sometimes we may have to report accurately, but when we put too much hype on it, for instance, sometimes like armed robbery, a few incidents might have happened. But when you go out of the country, the projection there is as if we are being robbed everywhere. You know, so it's what people write and how they write them and how they communicate these things, which gives a certain image about the country. That's what we need to address.
Okay, so it means that we have to look at what we put out there. But internally, we do have conflict here and there. We all know of what's happening in Boko area and what the efforts are in trying to stem that out. But how do we as a nation approach these issues to ensure that they do not degenerate or escalate such that it gives us some of these rankings that we're having?
Right. Well, Bako is, let me use in quotes, it's an isolated case. It's within a small area of the country, even though it's quite a big area. But in Kudafasa, in quotes. But when we are looking at the perception of the whole country, then what is happening in Boko should not be projected as if the whole country is like Boko. Those are the things that I'm talking about. In terms of robbery and all that, it goes on in every country. Every country has it. Even America, I mean, look at all the gun violence that we see. Right. But they will not go out and project their country in a very bad image. But sometimes what we do to ourselves is what I'm talking about. That people talk about it as if we are dead, and as if the country, everything has been turned upside down. Those things do not help us as a people, because it affects us economically.
But this study, we understand, covered 3 domains: the level of societal safety and security, the extent of ongoing domestic and international conflict, and degree of militarization. If that is it means that people in Ghana feel they are not safe and secure, and therefore something must happen. What should the government, of course, together with you, the Peace Council, do to make people feel that secured, in order to portray that good image we want to have out there about the country?
Now, if you look at the 3 areas, militarization.
Yeah.
Even though we have challenges, I don't think that is a major issue in this country. Then we are talking about international conflict. We don't have that. The area where we may be falling short is the safety, security, and then domestic conflict.
Yeah.
That's right. Those are the issues we have to address. And when it comes to domestic conflict, we have almost of these things are coming out of chieftaincy disputes and land disputes. So there's a need for us to bring ourselves together to deal with it from that angle. How do we tackle these things? What law can we put in place to deal with land litigation and some of these chieftaincy conflicts that we are having? You know. Then there are also the main challenges with youth employment, which is a major issue for us. And that also sometimes creates certain agitations within certain corners. These are issues that we have to address, and those funds, we leave it with the government and the private sector. We cannot only say that the government alone can do it. Private sector has a role to play. The most important thing is for us to put in the measures that makes it easy for private sector to expand and also to be able to employ a lot more people. Yes.
Hello, Reverend. Well, Reverend Dr. Edu Jemfi is chairman of the National Peace Council. We still have Dr. Ishmael Norman on the line. So, Doc, in terms of internal security, people citing armed robberies, highway robberies, and even land guardism as one of the issues why we are where we are. Strategically and from the security point of view, what do you expect to happen going forward?
Well, I totally associate with quite a lot of things that Reverend Edu Jemfi just offered to all of us. I believe that the whole thing is quite relative because you may feel very safe in the middle of Kwame Nkrumah Circle. Another person may feel very unsafe in that place. So it is one of those things that the municipal assemblies, together with central government and Ministry of Interior, have to put measures in place to ensure that in every community, at least there is that level of peace and tolerance for people's rights and freedom to move about and do the things they want to do. I think when you neglect basic things like power supply, intermittent power supply, good roads and all of that, it all affects that. But you know what? Our country is going through a very, very difficult moment. This same study, if it's done maybe a year from today, the result will be very encouraging, will be very different from what we got. So, yes, they have done it. Yes, they have used certain variables to determine that we are not as safe as we used to be. So central government is, we would say in football, over to you, Joe Latte. Central government has to now play its role and ensure that we regain the predominance that we used to have when it came to issues of peace within the sub-region. So I think central government has the biggest role to play, and then the citizens will come along and play along with government to achieve the goal we all want for ourselves.
Dr. Ishmael Norman, I'm grateful to you for joining us. He is a security analyst. Now, moving on to another story. A suit seeking to halt the Japa deal has been thrown out of the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice. The suit brought by three anti-corruption groups, the Transparency International, Ghana Integrity Initiative, and the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition against the government of Ghana, sought to challenge the propriety of the gold royalties monetization transaction arrangement. Shortly, we'll get reactions from CSOs opposed to the deal. First, let's remind you what the deal was all about. Joining us now on Zoom is Michael Body. He is fundraising manager, Ghana Integrity Initiative. Chief, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. First, remind us of what your issues were against the Ejapa deal in the first place. Kindly unmute so we can follow what you're telling us, sir.
Sorry. Good afternoon to your viewers. I think that if there is any network that had discussed Ejapa extensively, it would be Joy. But for those who missed the discussions 2 to 3 years ago, it's all about a deal or an arrangement that the government was going to put in place. And this arrangement will seek to would seek to create or created a special purpose vehicle where majority of Ghana's gold royalties would be given to that special purpose vehicle to manage or to run.
Yeah.
The special purpose vehicle would have equity shares, and the government of Ghana would have 51% shares, and 49% of the shares will be floated on the London Stock Exchange. Now, this arrangement brings two things to mind. One, why is the Ejapa company incorporated in the Cayman Islands? Many of us will avert our minds to the many publications that were done in the WikiLeaks, the Panama Papers, about how these tax havens have been used to engage in various corrupt activities, including money laundering, illicit financial flows, etc. Therefore, for a state to incorporate an entity over there scares some of us. I mean, for now, we don't have any grounds to accuse anybody of wrongdoing, but what we are saying is that it's scary. Now, number two, our own special prosecutor, which is the first special prosecutor, Honorable Martinamidu, did a corruption risk assessment, and he pointed to the heightened risk, corruption risk areas associated with the Ejapa deal. I believe that well-meaning Ghanaians spoke a lot about it, and we thought that we have said a lot, government is not listening, the government was going to go ahead and with the Ejapa deal anyway, therefore we need to use other legitimate means to stop the government, so we went to court. Lots of people have asked, why did we go to ECOWAS court? We went to ECOWAS court simply because the issues play out in many African countries, many ECOWAS countries, and therefore we would have wished that we had ruling in our favor so that it would serve as a precedent in all these African countries where the citizens have been shortchanged in their resource management, natural resource management.
So, I mean, what was the argument of the court in throwing out your case?
Well, the argument was very simple. The argument said, the court says we are being preemptive, which was very sad because the question one would ask ourselves that, was the court expecting us to be reactive so that the harm should be done before we go to court to seek remedy? I thought the court's ruling was very, very unfortunate. And for me, it is a step in the back of inclusive governance, participatory governance, accountability, and transparency. Because a court to tell us that we are taking a preemptive action to stop a government decision which has heightened corruption risk associated with it. The court thinks that, no, we should wait until rights are abused. Who says that? Do we wait for children, the future? I mean, one thing that people are not, the court probably did not avert its minds to is that the deal was in perpetuity. So, granted that the current government has good intentions, they want to raise resources to develop this country. Do you know what the subsequent or future governments will do with such investment? I think that it's very sad, and we believe that there are still many more avenues to address this, and we will explore those avenues once the reasoning behind the ruling is published or is given to us by the court.
So it looks like more of an appeal of a sort of this ruling, right?
I think we will explore all the legal options, including even going starting a dialogue with the government again. I mean, we believe that, well, the government said previously that the parliament they were going to factor in people's concerns and bring it back to parliament. So including mobilizing people's consent and tabling it before government and see whether they will act on it or not. Or perhaps explore diplomatic options by bringing that pressure to bear on government. We believe that whatever the issues are, so long as government was well-intended, hoping that government was well-intended, when people bring perspectives to it, they will listen.
Okay. Now, in the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, we have the Public Interest Accountability Committee, PIAC, which sort of tracks the usage of the revenues that come in there. Is that something that you are considering for us to have something of a sort like that for a committee of citizens to then monitor how the Japan company would then utilize the revenues that will be accruing to it?
Sadly, the way the arrangement is it takes away even that right to monitor. Because don't forget that the government has 51% shares. The 41% share will be floated, and people, who knows who will be buying it. So even though it seems the government may have some controlling right, they don't have the absolute controlling right, because there are other partners, and that takes it away. It could be anybody from any jurisdiction. And so it takes it completely from the hands of any form of citizens' oversight. And that is what is even more scary and worrying. So we don't have the luxury of having the PIAC arrangement at all.
Okay. So what kind of arrangement would have been favorable and would have gotten the support of you, the CSOs?
Well, we believe that as we speak now, first and foremost, the company should have been incorporated in Ghana, so that the laws of Ghana and citizens' oversight can be brought to bear. Secondly, I mean, we wanted a lot more transparency in the allocation of position, etc., and etc. We wanted a lot more transparency in the whole arrangement, and then the consideration of views that had been expressed by civil society, by the minority, and by all well-meaning Ghanaians. That, for us, if we had done that and we had all come to a consensus that, yes, indeed, we believe that the way to go is to have the Ejapa deal, that would have been better. That would have been laudable. As it is now, the deal smacks of a lot of, incoherence, opaqueness, and we it that won't help this country at all.
Now, if you look at the Ejapa Gold Royalties deal, government says, I want to create this Ejapa Royalties Limited to securitize future gold revenues for between $500 million and $700 million as we struggle to hold together our economy. Now, the argument is that $700 million today will not be the same value if you get it 10 years. So let's get that money and develop the country with it. Is this not a cogent argument to put across for us to say, well, let's do this, because $500 million today won't be the same in value 10 years' time?
Well, I think it's a gamble, but I would rather hasten cautiously and slowly, because the fact that the gold prices in future may also be higher than gold prices now. The dollar value in future may be higher than it is now. And who knows? Does it mean that we can't in any way develop and strengthen our country such that we may not need to borrow, or we may not need to... I mean, who knows? We may develop our country such that we can smelt the gold, develop, explore all the value chain of the gold industry, so that we can add value to our gold and sell it for better value. Is that what, do we think that we can't do any better, and so we are so helpless than to just sell our best rights? I think the government's argument, for me, is very weak.
But how does this amount to the selling of your birthright when you control majority of the shares, 51%? It means that you call the shot. Isn't that the case?
At the moment, we have 100%. Let's keep it. It's not. It's. If you have 100%, you cannot say by getting 51%, it's good. 51 and 100 is not the same. I would want a whole 100%, and I would want a whole 100% where we all have a say in its management. I want a whole 100% where it is managed prudently. It is. We are where we are. Not because we didn't manage not because the Japan deal didn't go through, but it is because of some level of mismanagement of our resources. Why don't we correct our mistakes so that we add value and enhance our receipts? Why do we want to sell our future for today? And then after we consume the future, what happens to the next generation? I don't think that the way to go is the way. Look, we have hedged get fund, and we have securitized get fund. We have securitized almost all the earmark funds. Why? So what happens tomorrow? I think that we need to hasten slowly, and that's what we are saying. That the corruption risk associated with the Japan deal is very high. Let us be cautious. Let us think through it, and let us provide alternatives that could block the holes or that would have lesser risk, corruption risk areas, and then let's not commoditize or hedge future resources. That's all we are saying. Currently, the Japan deal as we have it is not good enough.
Mr. Bodi, $50 million today is lesser than $500 million today. $500 million today will be worth more than $500 million 10 years to come. I see that's the
assumption is that the gold value will remain, the gold prices will remain the same, and that as a country we cannot do anything to add value to our gold in order to get more. That's the argument. Are we going to be raw material exporting country such that we are not looking at improving the value or adding value to it, the job opportunity it will create for our youth, the taxes that we will get, and then the added value that we will get in the international market? Why do we think that we will continue to export raw materials and therefore 500 million today does not have the same value as 500 million tomorrow? By tomorrow, if we do our homework well, the same quantity of gold will not be worth 500 million. It could be worth more.
Interesting. So for the CSOs, nothing will get you to support such a deal in its current state.
The only thing CSOs are asking for is that let's think through. Let's explore all the the options. Let's look at how to reduce the corruption risk area such that even if the current government is well intended, any other government that comes with who may not be well intended will not explore the gaps and the loopholes to the disadvantage of the country.
How do you deal with the corruption risk?
Well, that's what we are calling for. I mean, we cannot alone provide all the solution. We are calling for a mass discussion. We are calling for a broad-based consultation so that we can build consensus on the way forward. We think that as a CSO focused on anti-corruption, transparency is the key. Accountability is the key. Let's make the whole discourse more transparent, and let's test various options that would be suggested. And then once we reach a consensus on a particular arrangement, we all go for it. Not what we have now.
So now that you've lost the case, what's your expectation of government? Because once you've lost it, government will probably be given, that impetus to say, let's move ahead with our plan. Is that your expectation, or you do have a different expectation of government?
Well, I believe that when the president said that they are suspending it for further consultation, he meant it. So we will explore that, but we will also explore other options once we have access to the full reasoning behind the verdict. Then we'll look at what the options are. But so long as we have opportunity to dialogue our government, we will continue to dialogue the government. We hope and pray that the government is well intended, it will listen to us, and probably look at a better options in raising resources for development than for securitizing or selling our gold royalties in perpetuity.
We've done this for more than 100 years. We've mined gold in this country for more than 100.
What do we have to show, my brother? What do we have to show? And we've mined gold for more than 100 years, and we are still exporting raw materials. Can't we do something different? That's all we're asking.
It looks like we cannot. Because after 100 years and you still export it in its raw form, it means that there's little you can do. Doesn't that occur to you?
No, I think we can. There is a lot that we can do. We just haven't averted our minds. So for us, this ruling and this whole Ejapa thing had actually brought us to the stage where we need to pull the brakes and think. As a country, as a people, Nkrumah says we can manage our own affairs. What can we do to add value? The president is talking about a 1D, 1 factory. Perhaps we need to think about, Mr. President, can we set up a gold refinery factory in the mining district so that the youth in those districts can have employment. It's an option that we can explore. But there is definitely something that we can do beyond selling, beyond giving our royalties into a company. It's a gamble. When we lose it, what happens?
Okay, so you still do have, because we've had government come in, government go. Even in the Fourth Republic, look at how many governments we've had. We have not been able to add value to our gold. But you are still optimistic that we can do this. But the two parties that have offered us leadership have not done this over the years. Where is the source of your conviction that we can do this thing, after all these years that they haven't been able to offer that to us?
I think that our source of conviction is a wake-up call the Ejapa deal brings us. That, look, as a people, if we are not careful, we are going the mineral resources will be exhausted and we have nothing to show for it. Thus, it is about time that we start thinking about what can we do, what strategies can we put forward. There are quite a good lots of research that have gone into it. Let's take them, dust them, and let's review them. We will come up with a workable solution. It starts with you and I to start talking about it. It starts with you and I to stop giving up and throwing our hands in the air and thinking that we are people who cannot do anything good. There is something good that will come from Jerusalem one of these days, and I think we need to explore. We need to start thinking. We need to start discussing. Let's not give our governments rain check. Any decision they take, we follow without interrogating their decisions. I think that has gone on for 30 years into the Fourth Republic or more, and it hasn't brought us anywhere. Now, the worst situation is that even when you give money, the safest investments in this country used to be bonds and this thing. Now, it doesn't seem to be as safe as it used to be anymore. Where is the government going to raise money to develop the country? We need to now think.
Well, whilst at it, I'm sure we've been keeping tracks on MEF as well, the Minerals Income Investment Fund. Because whilst we speak, revenues from our gold have been going in there. Do you know what's happening there as well?
Well, the last check, they had declared some surpluses and they gave some over $1 million in profit to government, which is laudable, but we need to all look at it because the myths are all part of the Ejapa scheme. Let's not forget, it was all part of the Ejapa scheme. Perhaps we need to throw the searchlights there and see what sort of investments that our monies are being used, are being put into. We need to do that. We haven't done a lot of, admittedly, we haven't done a lot of work on the myth, but I will call on experts. I am not an expert in finance, but I believe that there are quite a good number of Ghanaians who are well-meaning and well-intended, who are experts on finances. We need to put a searchlight there and keep the government or the myth accountable for the resources we're giving them.
We understand that MEF intends to invest into the discovery we've done around the Salt Pond area in lithium. They've also invested into a mining company, buying ownership of it. Are these the sort of investment that would give us the assurance that, in fact, indeed, at a point we would say, after mining gold for these number of years, this is what we have to show?
Well, like I said, I am not an expert in finance, so I would defer that to the finance people to interrogate. But okay. I work and I focus on corruption and its related matters. And I would want to wait and see whether there are the myth activities mark of any corruption, then I'll come out. But for now, let me beg the question and defer to the finance experts.
Okay, all right. Grateful to you for joining us here. He is with the Ghana Integrity Initiative. This is still the Pulse on the Joy News channel. We'll take a quick break, but still to come, Parliament has passed an amendment to the Narcotics Control Commission Act after the Supreme Court struck out the Section 43 of the law as unconstitutional. Now, that section empowers the Interior Minister to grant license to an entity to cultivate a small quantity of cannabis in Ghana for industrial and medicinal purposes. What was the focus of discussion in Parliament? When we come back, we have that discussion here for you. Stay with us.
All on DSTV. All the goals, clashes, and moments. All of Rashford, Salah, and Saka.
Their start is getting better and better.
All in the language of your choice. All in HD. Available on all these bouquets to choose from. To watch on all these devices. Get DSTV with an HD decoder plus 1 month compact for 299 CDs. It's the Premier League. All.
For crystal clear and thrilling podcasts and live shows, download and listen to us on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, MyJoy Online, Amazon services like Echo, Amazon Music, and Audible, Stitcher, Adom Online, Overcast, and Pandora. Take note of everything. Sign up for the multimedia digital platforms now to stay updated.
Daddy, this tank is big!
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow! It has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see SINTEX. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
EcoBank salary account, bro. See, with the EcoBank salary account, you will enjoy free life insurance, free debit card, save while you spend, and an amazing chance to double your salary. And even more consolation rewards in the EcoBank double salary promo reloaded.
Guy, this EcoBank salary account sounds interesting. What do you think?
Yara, but maybe next time, Charlie. You know what? I'll go shine my shoe.
Yo, myself, I'll go check my BP.
We going up, never go down, and we stay fly.
Chairman, you see the white sign it here.
Open an EcoBank salary account today for a lifetime of benefits. You also stand a chance to win more than double your salary in the EcoBank Double Salary Promo Reloaded from now till July 31st. Terms and conditions apply. Under the supervision of the National Lottery Authority under the Caritas Lottery platform.
In partnership with National Theatre and Joy FM, Roverman Productions present I Like What You Like, an original White play.
Hey, Kwesi Trumpet. What kind of misfortune follows you that when your rich auntie dies, the only thing she leaves you is her ashes? Boy, my friend, you are not going to keep this in this household. Go and put it outside the gates. You can stay with it and regard it as wakekeeping. Oh, or you can use it for tea. Your share.
Well, his auntie named him a sole beneficiary to her estate.
I'm his wife. May I know how much it's worth?
Roughly $350 million.
What?
I Like What You Like shows at the National Theatre on July 7th, 8th, 9th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. One show on Friday at 7 p.m. 2 shows on Saturdays at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. 3 shows on Sundays at 1 p.m., 4 p.m., and 8 p.m. You can buy tickets at a cool 150 Ghana cedis via short code *365 *535 hash and all the usual outlets sponsored by Ebony Condoms, Gino, GCB, and M Notify. Roverman Productions. Be the difference.
Even the builders of his house and sellers of his cars give him a percentage for every contract he brings. My opponent sits here and turns against the motion for once having it for making money legally. Wrong!
The biggest debate competition in Ghana is back. Which side do you represent? For or against the motion? Stay glued to your superstation Love 99.5 FM, Joy Learning and Joy Prime as we bring to you the biggest stage where schools in Ashanti show their prowess through debate. Rally behind your alma mater to glory as gallant young men and women from the various senior high schools in Ashanti elucidate their stance on matters of national interest.
Venue is the Christian Service University College.
Catch us live on Love 99.5 FM, on Facebook at Love 99.5 FM, Joy Learning and Joy Prime, 2 p.m. each day. The Love FM High Schools debate, trumpeting the voice of young ones on issues of national interest. This event is brought to you by your superstation Love 99.5 FM, the Ashanti Regional SRC, and the Regional Directorate of Ghana Education Service Ashanti and CHAS.
This program is in partnership with Pepsodent, Rasta Choco Molds from Twillium Industries, Christian Service University College, Jackson Educational Complex, Cowbell, Madam Catherine, Fritol and Fortune Rice from Wilma, and sponsored by Zest Consult, Pidato Company Limited, CBS Industries, Top Choco, Ultimate Fashions, Flora Tissues. Supported by Smile. Look lively, okay? Smile, smile. Is the money too small?
A bad stomach ruins your day. Don't let it. Take Gastron, your most effective antacid for the relief of symptoms of peptic ulcer, heartburn, gas pain, flatulence, and indigestion.
Hey guys, what are you waiting for? Let's go, let's go.
Mwah. Can you bring down the smile small? Gastron, effective relief from stomach discomfort. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park. Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park. Our electric shuttle pulled up and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown crane, mara, silky chicken, llamas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults, this price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It's been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer.
Welcome back to the Pulse on the Journey channel. Now, yesterday, Parliament passed an amendment to the Narcotics Control Commission Act after the Supreme Court struck out Section 43 of the law as unconstitutional. And Section 43 empowered the Interior Minister to grant license to an entity to cultivate a quantity of cannabis in Ghana for industrial and medicinal purposes. The Supreme Court said because there was no debate on the floor on that section, it was null and void. Parliament has now amended the law and inserted the same provision back into it, paving the way for cultivation and use of cannabis for industrial and medicinal purposes. We'll speak to those who led the push to have it passed shortly. Right now, a report on how things unfolded in Parliament. Kwekwa Sante, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, has more.
Motion that the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023 be now read the third time. Minister for Interior.
Right Honourable Speaker, I move that the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023 be now read the third time.
The question is that Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried.
An act to amend the Narcotics Control Commission Act 2022 Act 1019 to insert Section 43 to empower the minister to grant a license for the cultivation of cannabis, which has not more than 0.3% THC content on dry weight basis for industrial purposes, for obtaining fiber or seed, or for medicinal purposes.
Honorable members, the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023 is deemed read the third time and passed.
So that's what happened in Parliament. Joining us now is Nana Ajiman, who is Chief Executive of Empire Ghana Limited. Nana, grateful for joining us here. You've been at the forefront of this. First, your reaction. And I can unmute so we can understand what you're telling us.
Yes, a hempful afternoon to you, sir. My apologies about that. I think it's timely. I think they moved very quickly to ensure that this was done. They obviously have issues with the Supreme Court, and they didn't mince their words, really, did they? But that's their business. They've done the right thing this time. So no one can go to the Supreme Court and raise any issues this time. I'm happy for all of us as Ghanaians, because this isn't a victory for Nana Ajiman, this is a victory for all Ghanaians. As it stands at the moment, we have very high unemployment. Lots of our youths are unemployed, and this creates the opportunity for us to establish cannabis industry where tens of thousands of people can be directly, indirectly employed. There's the opportunity for the government of Ghana now to generate income internally from taxation, from the cultivation and export of the crop. Environmentally, we can also reclaim much of the land, all of the land in fact, that has been poisoned by toxic waste such as mercury and other chemicals, as has been done by those doing galamsey. We can reclaim all those lands, because as it stands now, the farmers are there looking on those lands. They can't go there to cultivate any high-value crops of the poisoned nature of the land. But once you cultivate industrial hemp on those lands, industrial hemp / cannabis will absorb all the poisons. And probably over a period of 2 years, we can reclaim and plant high-value crops. The same is true for our mixes and the cultivation of industrial hemp on the water bank, on the water cleared back up and fit for domestic use. And medicinally, the industrial can good for PSTD. Industrial can good for PSTD. It's good for AHD. It's good for autism. Strong anti-inflammatory compounds as well, which is good for your bones and good for muscle tissue. A range of ailments, insomnia and the like. So all around, because Alban Bagbin backed him up. If we'd had moved swiftly, have had to be going to the IMF for that $3 billion US, we would have generated that ourselves, just in taxes, to be established, and the possibility and the potential, adding value, like producing hempcrete, hemp wood, hemp water, hemp textiles, adding value, like producing hempcrete, hemp wood, hemp water, hemp textiles,